All right, and we're live. So, welcome everybody to the fifth edition of the Hackusama webinar. Today we've got quite a few very interesting guests. Oh, Dan, thank you for joining us. My co-host Dan is in a poor Wi-Fi area. He's currently with one foot in a vacation down in Croatia. So I'm going to be taking care of most of this today, so you're going to be looking at my face most of the time. But no, all jokes aside, we have really wonderful guests today. We've got Logan from the Web3 Foundation, from the technical education team. We've got friends from China joining us today. That's why the webinar is a bit earlier, to facilitate the Chinese audience as well. We've got Steve Chow from DoraHacks, and we've got Sean Lin from PolkaBase. So welcome everybody. We're going to be switching out the guests as we go along. But just to give you a quick recap, Hackusama is going great. We passed 420 participants from all over the places. Last week we had Jessica from Art Project Decentralized. So with her help, some of the people from her community also joined, which are more on the artistic designer side, and it's great to see how people sort of find each other. If you haven't done that, if you haven't found a team, go to our Discord, go to the Hackusama dev post page, check out who's looking for a team, just reach out. I think people are glad to be teaming up. But in the bigger picture, we had one submission. So submissions started rolling in this week. We had the first submission come in. So if you haven't started yet, there's still ample time for you to submit what you're working on. Just to give you a heads up, do have a look at the rules, at the guides, at the hacker guide, and so on. There's a few nuances that you need to submit. Like for instance, there's a short 5-minute video, an explainer video that we'd like to see as part of your submissions, and so on. So please do take some time and have a look at that. But now, without further ado, I suggest we just jump in. First up is going to be Logan. Let me pull Logan in here. Logan has prepared a very nice technical topic. I'm not going to spoil anything really, because he's the expert on this. So let's just wait for Logan to join us, and he's accepting. So let's see. There we go. So in our tradition, we try to keep these Hackusama webinars higher level to give people sort of an introduction on what's going on. Hey, Logan, to give people an introduction on a higher level, both from the technical side as well as from the sort of community side, partnership side, and so on. So, Logan, why don't you take it away?
Sure. Hey guys, so thanks for joining us today. I'm going to give you a presentation on account primitives in Kusama and Substrate. So hopefully you can get a little bit of inspiration from how Substrate handles accounts and apply that to your hacks in Hackusama. So let me share my screen. Cool. Okay, so I'll just jump right into it then. So account primitives. So let's start with what is an account. So in Substrate in Kusama, accounts are identified by an account ID. This is a generic identifier for all accounts. Usually what it maps to is a public key that then gets encoded to the address of the account. So alongside of this address, you also have a few other pieces of data, such as the nonce, which increases every time the account submits a transaction or creates an extrinsic. And of course, accounts can also hold funds, so they can have some a balance of KSM associated with them. So accounts are commonly represented by a single user who holds the private key of that account. So the account ID is the public key, and for the private public key pair, the user holds the private key as a secret. But in some cases, there's also accounts that are module owned. And this is what I'll be focusing a bit more on during the presentation. So for module owned accounts, the difference is that there's no private key that's held by a user, but rather the account is operated as part of the logic that's encoded in the palette. So for user-owned accounts, these have an underlying cryptography. So because Substrate and Kusama are generic, the kind of cryptography that underlies accounts can be different. So in Kusama, there's 3 types of cryptography. There's the SR25519, ED25519, and also elliptic curve digital signatures, which is the same cryptography that underlies the Ethereum and Bitcoin private and public key pairs. The important part to take away from this, though, is that for your own parachains and your own projects that you might be working on, if there's a different kind of cryptography that you want to use, it's all you have to do is kind of implement it using the same traits that these other cryptographies have used, and you can get it to work with any of the module logic that's already coded. And so, of course, for user-owned accounts, these are always generated from wallet software such as Subkey, Parity Signer, or Polkadot.js. But let's talk more about the module-owned accounts, which have no private public key pair. So these are accounts that are allow for customized logic to control them. You can kind of think of them a bit like smart contracts, although they're not the same. The major difference is that a smart contract would have execution logic when it receives a call, whereas module-owned accounts don't have an associated execution logic. They just kind of act as places that can store funds and then be controlled by some kind of module logic that you put in your palette. So examples of module-owned accounts are found in the treasury. So the treasury account is where all the funds go when transaction fees are burned or someone gets slashed on chain. And then the treasury module controls how these funds are then paid out to people who apply to them. But you also have multi-signature accounts and proxy accounts as well. So all accounts are associated with what's called an origin. So an origin is a kind of a substrate concept, and this is how all permissions for executing chain logic are handled. So when someone calls an extrinsic, they'll have an associated origin, and that origin will be that account's account ID. Now, there's other kinds of origins that are possible. For example, there's the root origin. So this is when sudo, the super user, the quote dictator of the chain, which has power to call any extrinsic, they have what's called the root origin. So this is a more powerful origin that can call transactions that the normal accounts wouldn't be able to call. But there's also things like partial origins. So this is something like 3/4 of the council. So this is this is more complex, and it says this account, this account, this account from this group of accounts have approved a certain kind of call. So all kind of access control for which logic can be triggered externally are controlled by these different kinds of origins. So let's dip a bit more into multi-signature accounts. So multi-sigs, as you might be able to guess from the name, are accounts that uses use one or more separate keys to control a single account. So multisigs can have different thresholds that are set. These can be, for example, a threshold of 2 out of 3 signers, which would mean that 2 accounts out of the group of 3 need to approve that a call for it to be executed. And multisigs are always generated in Substrate and Kusama deterministically from the threshold and the group of signers that compose that multisig. So just to give you a better idea of how that works, we have a 2 of 3 multisig represented right here as a module-owned account. So if you remember from the past slides, the module-owned account has almost everything that a user-owned account has, including an address, nonce, and the ability to hold funds, except it's not controlled by the private key that the users hold, but it's controlled by module logic. So we have 3 of the users that compose this multisig up here. And how this multisig would be triggered is for two of the users to call either approve as multi or as multi to execute a transaction. And that would trigger this multi-signature account to then do whatever that call was to do, which in this example was a transfer. So this transfer wouldn't come from either of these accounts as the origin, but the origin of this transfer would actually be the account ID of this module-owned account. In kind of a similar vein, we have proxy accounts. So proxy accounts allow a single user-owned account to give permissions to other accounts for execution. So some of the permissions that can be proxied to other accounts in Kusama include this list here. So any can do any call that's available on chain. Non-transfer can do any call that doesn't involve transferring some balance. Governance applies to the governance modules such as democracy, council, and so on. Staking is used for any of the staking, any of the transactions in the staking palette. And then identity judgment is used for identity registrars to issue out judgments to people who apply to them. So the important part about using a proxy is that when you call the proxy call, the origin of the call will come from the original account that set the proxy. So proxies are useful when you have an account that you want to give access to, but only gives some kind of limited subset of access to that account. So one example could be if you have another account that you want to control all the staking functions, but you don't want that account to have any ability to transfer funds, maybe because you store that account as a hot wallet, and you want any account that has the ability to store funds to be kept as a cold wallet, which would be more secure and kept in, for example, like a bank safe. So the process of calling a proxy transaction is for the initial account on the left here to add a proxy. And when they do this, they set the permissions of that proxy. And then the second account then can call a proxy over any kind of call, in this example, a transfer. And that transfer would appear to chain logic as originating from this original account. So this transfer would have this first account's origin. Now there's also what's called an anonymous proxy, and these are proxies that are module owned. So these are actually kind of opposite from the other proxies in that when they're created from an account, what you have is a module owned account that is proxied by the account that created it. So these are similar to kind of anonymous functions, which is where they get their name, where it's kind of a single-use account that you want to be able to spawn up, use for a specific purpose, and then maybe never use again. So they're a bit dangerous because once these accounts are removed, they can never be accessed because they're generated in a unique way. So yeah, they have special purposes and they're useful sometimes. I also want to talk about a couple of the functions that are of interest in the utility palette. So these include batch and as derivative. So batch essentially just allows multiple calls to be batched into a single call, and for each of these calls to be executed sequentially. So if you use Polkadot.js, whenever you set up staking, it uses a batch underneath that to do both the bond call and then the nominate call, for instance. There's also a function called as derivative, which is similar to anonymous proxies, in that it generates kind of a secondary module on account deterministically. But these are a bit less risky because as long as because you always have access to them. So there's no way like for anonymous proxies for you to remove these accounts and lose access to them. So putting this all together, you can compose more complex transactions or more complex origins from any of the account primitives that I've discussed before. So for example, you can batch proxy calls that then execute a multisig. And you can do all this inside of a single transaction. So if you're looking at how to code one of these module-owned accounts, here's a kind of 3-line example of how that works. What you want to do is you want to create some entropy. Here, a hash is being created from a string and some user data. And then you essentially just decode an account ID from this hash. So this allows the module then to be the only thing that controls this account. And if you want to see more complex ways to do this, I encourage you to look into the palettes and the modules that I've already talked about. So that's about it for account proxies. If you have any questions, I encourage you to get in touch. You can reach out to me either on Twitter or over email. Thanks, guys.
All right, awesome, Logan. Maybe as a follow-up question before we let you go, obviously proxies and multisigs are well understood and also used within the crypto blockchain space. Is there like a use case that you'd maybe recommend or like to talk about where something like this would be immensely valuable for, maybe even a short-term smaller project, something like this? Where could people use this or apply this?
So I would be interested to see how people use module-owned accounts in general, because I think it's a powerful concept. As far as like hacks that involve like multisigs, I think good like user interfaces or good user experiences. So any kind of website that makes it easier to use multisigs, for instance, would be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. I'm absolutely interested to see what people come up with these multisigs, because it's been going on for a while, right? We've had multisigs for as long as there's blockchain, I guess. Yeah. So, all right, awesome. Any specific resource that you'd recommend to dive in regarding anything that you spoke? I know we've listed a bunch of resources in the hacker guide. There's, the substrate documentation, the wikis on our side. Anything specific?
I would just suggest if you have any questions about how to code something up, to look in the substrate source code, because there's a ton of great high quality code examples in there.
All right, awesome. Guys, you heard it. Thank you very much, Logan. You can go back to bed now. I know it's a bit early for you. Thank you very much for taking the time and joining us. But right now, we are going to welcome Tom Nash from Gantry. So, Tom, let me pull you in here. Oh, where are you? There we go. All right, I'm very excited to see and hear Tom's presentation. Last week we had Moonbeam, Derek from Moonbeam. Today it's Tom from Gantry. Both are projects that we work closely together. They're both, although Polkadot native, I'm curious to see and to hear what Tom has prepared for us. I think these are all fantastic examples to give people, developers, to see what can be built, what are some of the extra tools that can be used. So Tom, why don't you just accept? Okay, so accepted and connecting. There you go. Tom is going to pop up in a minute. After Tom, we've got our Chinese guests. So guys, please prepare. It's going to be about 15 to 20 minutes. I think Tom's going to be short and to the point. There we go. Tom, welcome. There you go. It's all yours. Here you go.
Cool.
Go ahead. And,
yeah, awesome. So, hey everyone, I'm Tom from Gantry. You're going to have to forgive my sleepiness. It is pretty late. It's 9:30 in the evening here, and you're going to have to put up with Australian internet quality as well as we go through this demo. So, I'm here to talk to you about running nodes. Running nodes is very, very difficult. And at Gantry, we are building tools to make that a lot easier. So if I just share my screen with you, I do have a set of slides that we can go through. How do I tell if people can see my screen? Oh, there we go. Cool. So broadly, Gantry is an all-in-one infrastructure toolkit for substrate blockchains. But what does that mean? So our first focus with Gantry is to allow you to easily spin up and tear down multiple nodes at once, which can easily be done via our CLI with a single config file or with the web dashboard. And it can't actually be done with the web dashboard anymore. This deck is a little bit out of date, but so this means that you can do continuous deployment and development for your node runtimes and binaries. And you can get telemetry, alerts, and analytics once your nodes are running. So I'm going to jump into a demo of the CLI, and let's have a look at what that is. So I may have to stop sharing my screen for a second. How do I do that? I need to set up access keys, which I totally forgot. Broadly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy some nodes onto DigitalOcean with a single config file, and that is going to so we're going to spin up a bunch of Polkadot nodes with a single line of code. So once I grab this, sorry, bear with me. I should have prepared. I just don't want to share my credentials with you because I know that you hacker folks will steal them, and that's not what we want. So that should be all I need. Let's give this a go. All right, we're back. So we're going to deploy some Polkadot nodes with the Gantry CLI. So I'm going to get that going now, and then I'm going to show you how I'm doing that. I'm actually just going to turn off the notifications so you can't read them. Ooh. So let's create some Polkadot nodes with Gantry. Ooh, that's what it needs to be. Environment variables. There we go. Let's do it. Oh no. Oh dear, oh dear. The demo gods are not shining upon me today. Oh, this is Python environments. If you guys work with Python, you'll probably know a lot about this. Is this going to work? Probably not. No, this is definitely not going to work. Okay, well, what Gantry should have done if I hadn't broken my Python environment is it should have spun up a couple of Polkadot nodes. So let's just pretend that it's doing that. This is the config file that we're using to do that. So it's a single JSON file, and it allows us to specify a few different things. So we're specifying that the binary that we're deploying, Gantry is also capable of deploying nodes based off of a Git repository by simply compiling the Rust code that it finds in that repository. And we can do that by changing one of these keys to repository. And then we can change this URL to, it would be a Git repo or something like that. We'll keep it as fetch. And then we specify some information about the chain spec, whether we're using, a particular chain argument, like maybe we want to use, maybe we want our chain argument to be Kusama, or maybe we just want to use the chain spec that's in the binary, which will just execute the node binary without any chain argument. Then we're specifying some information about the nodes that we're creating and the infrastructure on which we are creating those nodes. So you can see that I have two. This array could be, size n. We could have as many nodes as we like, and Gantry will deploy them all. And we're specifying some options that should be executed on those nodes. So they're going to run with the validator flag on. We're going to ensure that we pass some arguments to the substrate binary. So this is going to send telemetry to the Polkadot default telemetry sync. And we're creating these nodes on DigitalOcean with some information about, the size of the instance we're creating, the region, and then the path to the private key that we're going to use to log into those nodes. So what would be happening right now, if I hadn't, again, destroyed my Python environment the other day, is we would be creating some nodes on DigitalOcean, and then we'd be able to log into those nodes, and they'd be executing the Polkadot binary, and they'd be sending telemetry over to this, over to the default telemetry sync. So that's the first piece of what Gantry offers. And you can use this by going to github.com/gantry-io /gantry-CLI. I'll post a link to that in the chat after this. Now, the second part of what Gantry offers is the dashboard. And at the moment, this will give you access to sort of node monitoring and alerts. So the second aspect of the Gantry product is a node monitoring tool that we're calling Node Watchdog. So I'll give you a demo of that right now. In the future, we want to incorporate this into our node deployment solution. But right now, it is a sort of standalone binary that you can also find at gantry-io /gantry node watchdog. So I'm going to start a node here. I'm running the Darwinia crab network in one of my terminal windows. And then in the other one, let's hope this Python environment works, I'm going to run the Gantry node watchdog. So I actually don't want to do that. I want to remove this file. Where is it? Here we go. Let's do that again. So this is Gantry. I've just executed it with a clean config file, and now it's asking me for the API key from the Gantry web app. So if I go over to app.gantry.io, we will be able to grab an API key. We can paste that into the Gantry node watchdog, and then it's asking us for the name of the network that we want to register this node on. So basically, it's asking us to name the network that we're running. So let's just call this one testnet Hackusama. And then let's give this node a name. So let's call it local crab. And then what will happen is the Gantry node watchdog will register our node with the Gantry app. So if we go back over to here and we go to networks, you can see that I've got a few. I've got a demo network, I've got a crab network, and I've got the testnet Hackusama that we just created. So if I click that, you can see that I've got this local crab node, super cool, grabs my IP. And now we have this button right here for creating a monitoring dashboard. So if we click this, what's actually going to happen in the backend is Gantry is going to provision you a monitoring and alerting dashboard so that you can view statistics for your node in real time. Now, this takes a little while. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes, so we're not going to sit and wait for it to complete. Instead, I will show you what you'll get immediately after this is finished. So this is one I prepared earlier in the classic cookery show style. And this is a dashboard that's executing, that's loading data from a couple of Polkadot nodes that we're running in the cloud. So you can see one of them probably needs us to look into it because it's running at 97% CPU pretty much all the time. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the end of my demo. So Gantry broadly is for a few different types of folks. I think it can help teams building substrate-based blockchains. It can help you save costs on DevOps and ship faster with features like continuous deployment and monitoring. It's for substrate-based node operators, so people can own their own infrastructure without becoming, DevOps wizards and figuring out how to leverage these really complicated tools like Terraform and Ansible. And it's for professional services companies and infrastructure as a service companies who want to get a better understanding of how their infrastructure is performing and get alerted before it falls over. Gantry is a little bit like insurance in that respect. So where are we going from here? Our mission is to empower any organization to grow and cultivate the peer-to-peer economy. We have a strong focus on kind of configurable alerts and business logic for node operators. We want to add better support for Docker and deploying in kind of Kubernetes environments. More cloud providers to our list of supported ones with the Gantry CLI. Currently, that's DigitalOcean, AWS, and Google Cloud Platform. But eventually, we want to be able to deploy onto any machine that you have SSH access to. And, very broadly reliable, accessible, and easy to operate infrastructure for Web3. So you can get in touch with me on Telegram at @TomNash. And you can get me on Riot at tomnashflex@matrix.org. Real quick, I might as well show you the Gantry GitHub, github.com, gantry-io. So this is where you can view all of the projects that we're working on. So we've got the Gantry node watchdog in here, as well as sort of Gantry CLI. And we also have a Node.js library if you want to leverage our deployment tool from within Node.js. But I recommend just using Gantry CLI. So yeah, hopefully that was useful. I'm sorry that my demo didn't quite go to plan. I do apologize. And next time I'll know to not break my Python environment before I have to give a demo. Sorry about that.
But I haven't seen a demo that would work flawlessly, so that's just how it is. No, Tom, thank you very much for this. I think this was really, really exciting. So I'm not a developer. Excuse my maybe on the surface question, but I know you spoke about Polkadot, right, and substrate-based chains. Does the same apply to Kusama and the Kusama network?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're running Kusama nodes, this is Gantry can help you deploy those nodes, and it can help you monitor those nodes. So in exactly the same way that I showed it, showed the Gantry watchdog operating on the Darwinia network, you could do exactly the same, and it will work out of the box on the Kusama network because of the versatility of Substrate. And sort of in the same way, the deployment tool where it's deploying the Polkadot binary, it could just as easily deploy the Kusama binary. Yeah. There's a couple of demo videos that I have actually. I'll post those in the chat as well. They're a little bit smoother than this one, and they will show sort of Gantry operating in a couple of different contexts.
Okay, sweet. Tom, thank you very much. If there's going to be any questions later on, I can still pull you back and we can have a discussion. But for now, thank you very much. And we're going to be moving forward to our next guest. There we go. Yes. All right, Steve, you should see a invite from us. So Steve is from DoraHacks, and I'm not going to go into detail. I think it's a wonderful thing what they're doing in China. Hopefully, Steve can go into more detail on that. There we go. I see he's connecting. Let's wait for a second. Right. So we had guests from the US, Logan, then Tom from Australia, and now Steve and Sean from China. It's a very international call. Dan been dialing in from Croatia. I'm sitting in Slovenia. So we're covering the whole planet. All right, here we go, Steve. How are you?
Hey, great. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I hope the internet connection is okay. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. We are all very excited to hear from you. So I'm going to shut off my video and the floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah, I want to thank the Web3 Foundation and Hackusama for having me today. And I'm Steve. I'm one of the co-founders of DoraHacks, and I'm really excited to share our hacker community. We're one of the largest developer community and blockchain developer community here in China, and we'd love to share what we do and in the future how we can work together to build the whole Polkadot ecosystem here in China. So why don't I start sharing my screen? Yeah. Yeah, can you guys see? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll start from here. So thanks again for having me. And a little bit brief introduction about the background of DoraHacks. What we do is that we started in 2014 from Tsinghua University in China, and we really find that there's literally a very limited number of people participating in the open source movement and hacker movement here in mainland China. So we are one of the first to start run hackathons, bring frontier tech to the crowd, to the developers, and we organize events to invite developers to discuss and hack on the topics they love. And we've been doing this since 2014, and slowly, step by step, we've been growing into one of the largest hacker community here in China. And also, we're very active around the globe. And yeah, and other than DoraHacks, we also launched a platform that just connects all the needs from the corporates and the needs from other hackers to the hackers who have skill sets and the time and the leisure to work on the projects that the corporates wants. So it's a developer flexible working platform. And we've been launching this email in China since earlier this year. And our domain is hackerlink.io. Is majorly focused in the Chinese market, but I'll introduce this platform to you guys later. Yeah, so about DoraHacks is that we already have international hacker community in 8 different countries, including Germany, Britain, India, United States, Japan, Korea, China, Canada, and so on. And in the past several years, we have run over more than 100 hackathons. We have 200,000 hackers participating in our previous events, and actually a lot of them are blockchain hackathons. I wonder if any of those Polkadot developers used to participate in our platform. And I also used to work with Dan, currently working at Web3 Foundation. Back in 2018, we run a hackathon in San Jose. And also more than 200 corporates and blockchain projects worked with us in the past few years. And here's some of them. Those are the companies in the traditional fields, like Bosch from IoT and Microsoft. And SenseTime is an AI platform. WeBank is the fintech arm of Tencent. RCT is a VR company. Neo and Binance are really good blockchain partners. China Mobile from the 5G side. And there's actually a lot of other blockchain projects that we previously worked with because we really want our hackers to work with them to participate into their events and to join their ecosystem. And that's also right now we are a partner of Hackusama in China. We help them. We help this whole event to recruit hackers. And here are some of the previous photos. You can see here is our hackathon in Berlin in 2018. This one is our hacker party in Bangalore. This one is our hackathon in Seoul, Korea. And you can see the whole background is that DoraHacks is also the founder or the main organizer of China's largest offline hackathon. It's called the Fire Hackathon or the Fourth Industrial Revolution Hackathon in China. And more than 500 hackers participated offline in July last year. This is also Berlin, I believe. And this one is in Beijing. Yeah. And that's a brief introduction about DoraHacks. And also really want to share our platform HackerLink with you. So what HackerLink does is that it connects remote developers or freelancers to who wants to recruit them. And there are 3 types of jobs on our platform. It's either a project or it's a job. It can be a part-time job or it can be a full-time job, but it's all remote. Or 3, projects and platforms can launch bounties on our platform. So we are actually sort of the only platform that provides this opportunity for projects to launch their bounties and will connect hackers with those bounties are. So that's basically what we do. And those are our clients. We actually have already been working with many projects like QuarkChain, Bkey, Binance, Neo, including Alibaba Cloud. So what I really try to say is here, like if you really have this need, maybe to work with developers in China, especially the most brilliant ones, who's really proficient in blockchain, and either you want to work with them, you want to recruit them directly, you can actually go to us. You can. I'll leave my how to reach out to me to DoraHacks later in this presentation. We would really love to connect international opportunities and companies to the Chinese developer community. So also, if you want to launch a bounty, you want to work with the Chinese developer, you can just come to us. Yeah. And those are the needs or the jobs already been fulfilled on our platform. There's actually a bunch. Yeah, and that's pretty much my presentation. I'll give this event back to the host. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you very much, Steve. It's always wonderful to hear from friends from different parts of the world. I don't know if our attendees or our listeners realize this, but Hackusama is extremely international. So it's, although we're sitting in either the US or in Europe, many participants, actually most of the participants, don't come from these regions. And China as well as India are one of the, and Latin America as well are big countries that are participating in this. But Steve, a question for you, right? Because China is sort of this, it's seen as this huge market. There's this huge opportunity, right? And we've got, on the other hand, Hackusama, which hopefully is like the first pillar in creating these larger long-term projects. How would you say, in general, I know there's multiple factors and it's not an easy answer, but what would you recommend to people who want to expand into the Chinese market in the blockchain space? Obviously, how would they do that? What's the best course of action to take?
Yeah, because we are actually more focused on the developer side, the hacker side. So I would say they're actually pretty focused. Actually, what we've been running is this blockchain developer community. From what we can say is that if this is a really solid project, which I believe you guys are, and you really have this patience, have these resources directed to them, introduce more of yourselves, organize more events online, offline to engage them, and introduce a lot of rewards, bounties, to incentivize them to participate, or incentivize just to engage more with you guys. I will believe that you will already been doing better than 95% of other projects. Yeah, from my point of view, I believe they're all the Chinese blockchain developers. I believe there are thousands of them. They're all very eager to learn. There's always a new, fresh developers, really eager about blockchain technology from freshly graduated or are already studying in those universities. They really don't have a really determined project to learn from. So let's just start from Ethereum. It's actually a pretty big opportunity for every one of those projects to engage them, I would say. Yeah. So
no, that's a really good answer. I know it's hard to say, right? Because China is big. It's not a unified market. You've got various projects in there. Could you talk to us a little bit more about HackerLink? We've been at the Web3 Foundation. We've been making use of Gitcoin, which allows us to pay out bounties to open source projects and so on. Does HackerLink allow only payout in a fiat currency, or is this also connected to crypto? How do you guys deal with international people coming in? Just tell us a little bit more about HackerLink.
So as I would say, like HackerLink is currently like majorly working or functioning in the Chinese speaking world. So I know we actually are very familiar with Gitcoin. We know it's a great platform to launch bounties or run events there. Currently, HackerLink functions in this level. It's a platform where projects can demonstrate what are the incentive programs, what are the bounties to the Chinese-speaking hackers, and it's more like a portal, and you can not only post your bounties, but you can also post your jobs or your grants, all of your incentive programs to the developers, and we have a pool of Chinese developers really eager to tackle those bounties or apply for those jobs. They are one of the very first remote workers or freelancers, blockchain developers in China. So basically, that's how it works. And definitely, we support fiat and crypto payments. As in for the system, we have this online escrow system already developed. It accepts all cryptocurrency payments and also solve this problem of international recruiting. Yeah, so you can literally just pay tokens to developers who work with you. Yeah.
Very good. Sounds amazing. Let's wrap it up at this point because we have one more speaker. If there are any questions, we're going to pull you in later on. But for right now, thank you very much. Let's proceed. There we go. Our final speaker. Let me find you. There we go. Final speaker is Sean from the PolkaBase community. Sean, you've just received an invite from me to be pulled into the screen. So as you see, we are a very international community here. The Chinese community actually is very eager in working with Hackusama. As I mentioned, the Chinese and the Indian community, as well as Latin America, are all very, very big in terms of participation numbers. Not just the US and Europe, but also other parts of the world, which is always nice to see. And to that extent, Sean, welcome.
Hi, hello.
There we go. We can hear you quite
Oh,
well.
wait a minute. I cannot hear your voice.
Okay. We can hear you though, so it's fine. Can you hear us? Sean? Now you're muted.
Wait a minute, I just cannot hear your voice.
Okay.
Hello,
you hear
wait.
us?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Wait. All right, Sean is going to be free connecting. Hello.
Hi, hello. Pretty good. And just switching on different places, maybe different, change my devices. Okay.
All right.
Oh, let's wait a minute. Now, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. Okay, I just no voice back. Okay, so literally, I just gonna appreciate everyone. Appreciate everyone. Appreciate Dan as a host, the lovely host right here, and thanks for your patience. And it's shown from PolkaBase community, and I will tell you more details later. And okay, just a long show. Let's go. We'll share the slides here. And okay, I just assure that everything goes good. And okay, let's go. So literally, I just it's not a for a commercial process or something like that. It's just like it's a last and just sharing some so interesting things and how we came through and how's our plan and what it is. So my topic is support-based a community ecosystem, and we're trying to do to match the Polkadot ecosystem in the blockchain 3.0 era. So what about me? My name is Sean, and full name is Sean Lin. I'm from China native citizen. I'm also an analyst. I'm doing some basic crypto data science and wrote some reports. So and also I broadcast host to some vlogs. And I started a couple years in UK, mainly in Liverpool and London as a master, and also a UCL blockchain labs community members for not for technical, maybe for memes and showings. Yeah. And how we define ourselves, it's like our mission and what we're trying to do. Literally, PolkaBase is initiated and established like August last year, and most of our members is started in this industry very early, and mainly in 2012. And everyone curious about it, you can kill me later. And many from the first China cryptocurrency teams. And literally, we are an international team. We're from Germany, USA, local team, and China. We have some new blood right here in Germany. Another one. In Magdeburg, yeah, no, sorry for that. Yeah, literally, we also have China's largest blockchain hackathons. I mean, the ex co-founders, yeah, and one things right here. And next of all is how we're doing, and we plan to improve better. We have four parts: of content, the participators, the users, more about the investing and market educations, and to building more connections and communications. Okay, right now, let's just go the first one. Literally, everyone can know more about me about the Genesis article about our mission, and literally like everything Dr. Kevin was talking about, we were collected things. We're just not doing some basic translation things, but we also like create some new things. Also like for So literally it's in English, it's bilingual, English and Chinese. And for like we also a support community of Radio One, as you know, and Jeff talked about the the shared security, the ENMV protocols. I just made a video to explain that. And another one, I wrote an article together with my colleagues about the relationships between IPFS protocol and S3. And they hit very good. I mean, just like thousands of readings in China. And so it's like event driven. We just trying to involve many participators, nodes, anyone like infrastructures, everyone in this to make some to share some useful things. As you see, the Ingo from Kurt, Chainlink, and the MSC, the foundation, Darwinia, and Fala, and we have an ecosystem project, a really big panel. But I'm sorry that I just covered some ones have not big enough spaces. And also just just this Monday, just a couple of days ago, this Monday I hosted and organized a very big ecosystem staking pool session. It's all live. It's all through the live video. And I invested invited Huobi, OKEX, and JBMXC, the exchange and Huobi on ones. It's like a staking project and also supports Polkadot, as you know. So the on site is we also we invite. It's like we begin these things since November and December twice, but after quarantine we're doing the mainly the internet things, and then we also just run it off and start again. We green like a Rust China community solid, and literally Fala network and Linton tree and many more I crossed. The one year they just go on the side. This one is we hold twice in Hangzhou, we hold third time in Wuhan, just that city. We're living good. Yeah. And we hold another one just as most currently in Shanghai is a barbecue. It's barbecue sharing. Yeah. Really, that's very cute. And that's why I say it's investment education. So I don't want, I mean, everyone don't want just made a scan happen to yourself. So we just made a how to safely claim this and how this investment opportunities. I would say that it's a 4-stack layout, and there are some many. I mean, this tech stacks that it's very welcome to open the project to involving to get grant or something like that, and also definition of dots. What's how to use this explained is there also in Chinese, just translate it too. And well, we also as a support community, official support community of some big events, virtual and Ready One Consensus 2020. We just voluntarily to literally translate those agendas in Chinese. As you can see, also provide a guide how to register these things. Yeah, and really is the industries and academics. I have very good friends, and they involved very deep in the WERC. And currently, they are having they are gonna launch, and literally it's launched a. This is from the first blockchain magazine from IEEE institution, and we just help promote and hope more collaboration can come later. And also the BSN, it's not our community PolkaBase community involved in, but also it's like one of our co-founders and involved in this BSN, the overseas portal, and we have more cooperation opportunities together in the future. I don't know. Hope the community can help a little bit in the substrate side. We see it's a public chain. We say it's a public chain stack. And academics, we hoped we can pushing forward in this time area in the academic things. We had a really good time in Wuhan's technology universities, but it's a marathon. We'll continue. We just try to make things better. And okay, that's it. And literally, just that's the last part. And we'll just I just want to say it's like you know, in the next blockchain era, everything is literally about the three. You know, it's like maybe might happen the third next bull run. You know, the BTC are having. We have the blockchain. I mean the blockchain tech to consider more about scalability, interoperability, and have more solutions on layer 2. Something. It also the financial revolutions. We have the cloud storage, some IPFS things about that. I also analyze IPFS as much as the time I did in Polkadot, and you know, and I also a little bit believe Elon Musk about the world going to virtual some type things. I don't know, it's like the matrix. It's, yeah. So what we want to do is center on the the changing world, and to trying to fit in and to help to it's like an experiment to help build a community. I mean, just rush straight down to the Polkadot better and match to the the changing futures. We're trying to, yeah, that's all. And yeah, that's all. Appreciate you.
All right. Sean, can you hear me? No. So unfortunately, Sean can't hear me. Sean was just going to pull you off the screen. So I think this is it for today for the 5th webinar. We are just past 1 hour, so I think this is a good time frame. If there are any questions, let us know. There's still a question box that you can use. I don't think that we had any questions up to this point. But Hackusama is full steam ahead, rolling ahead. We've got 2 weeks to go, so the submission deadline is the 14th. Please keep that in mind. We're eager to see your submissions. Our judges are sort of waiting to see what you guys come up with. If there's any questions, reach out to us, me, Dan. We're always here at the Discord channel, email us, whatever you prefer. Like I said, we've just passed 420 participants. It's going great. If you're still looking for a team, do reach out to people via Discord or the Death Post hackathon webpage. So that's it for today. Thank you very much, everybody who attended, who spoke. We are very, very happy to have all the support from the community partners all over the world. Dan, unfortunately, wasn't able to join. He's got poor internet. But Dan, thank you very much for supporting us in the chat box. And I'm going to see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye.